romanto, Mr. Romanto.
Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da. Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have Andy O'Hara joining us to talk about his company, Trivia Maniax, where you can go to have some of the best trivia experiences in the greater St. Louis area. After that, my conversation with Stuart Moore, Captain America for Dummies, the book he's written, out on shelves now. All that and more, stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you out there. If you are streaming us on YouTube and Facebook, hello to all of you watching. I see there's several of you out there. We have David and Shannon have chimed in. Hello to both of you. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching tonight. For those of you streaming us on the KTRS app or via the website, ktrs.com/stream, hello to all of you out there. And as always, if you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form, we love all of you. Thank you for listening, no matter how you do it. Hopefully you subscribed, though, on whatever podcast platform you are listening to, and left us a 5-star review. That always makes us very happy to see those pop up. We're going to have to start reading some of those out loud. Maybe we'll start doing that going forward. That gives me an idea for a contest, maybe. Anyway, first things first, I want to announce a big announcement that I teased earlier on Facebook. We have been working to get this particular person into 2 Rivers Comic Con. Check out the website, the number 2, riverscomiccon.com. You can see the guests we've already got up there. And as of tomorrow, this person will also be announced. Get your tickets, because I don't think I've ever mentioned this. We have a limited amount of tickets. After we sell those, that's going to be it. If we have any remaining at the door, we will sell them at the door too, but get them early, because we also have some special events planned, and I'll talk about that later in the hour, that are only for 3-day weekend pass holders. So if you like extra stuff like that, buy a 3-day ticket online. You can probably hear us. We're advertising now on 1057thepoint.com, and you might be hearing us on there a little bit lately too. But the big announcement, I should have had a drum roll ready, but it doesn't matter. We have added a 4th member of the Justice League. You already know we have Phil Lamar coming, voice of Green Lantern. We have Susan Eisenberg coming, the voice of Wonder Woman. We have Maria Canals-Barrera coming, the voice of Hawkgirl. We are adding Carl Lumbly, the voice of the Martian Manhunter. You've just seen him in Captain America New World Order as Isaiah Bradley, and Captain America and the Falcon series as well. He was just in the brilliant Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix last year, I think it came out. I just recently watched it this past Halloween. It was incredible. He played C. August Dupin, and he's been in everything. Mantis, he was on Cagney and Lacey. He was in Alias, which my wife adores him in Alias. So that was our big announcement. We are bringing Carl Lumbly in for all 3 days of the Comic-Con. He'll be signing autographs, taking selfies with everybody. So get your tickets now, because I think that with everything we're doing, the special events we're going to be adding, this is something you're going to want to make sure you attend. I just saw some tickets came through today. Someone from Kentucky bought a pair of tickets. So we've got people out of state already. California's already bought some. Ohio, Indiana. So it's fun seeing those. Get your tickets now to the number 2, riverscomiccon.com. Check out that website to get your tickets there. You'll get to see Carl Lumbly among all the other fantastic guests we're bringing in. Hello to BK on the air listening in Cartersville, Georgia. Hello, BK. Good to see you in the chats as well. Without further ado, we have Andy O'Hara up. If you are a trivia fan, he's got some stuff you're going to want to check out with his company, Trivia Maniax. He joins us now. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing well, James. How are you? That voice at the beginning sounded familiar.
It did, yeah. For those of you who don't know and have always wondered, Andy is the one who sings the intro theme song that I do. I wrote up the words to kind of have that parody of the songs that we do at the intro and outro, and Andy sings. And I still, obviously, Andy, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we still have you on our intro and outro of the show.
Yeah, that's great. We've been talking for a while. I need to get in there and update some things because I think what was it? We're still on 12 doctors.
I know. Yeah, we're up to 15 right now. It'll probably be 16 with the new recent rumors. It sounds like Shooty Gatwa wants out, so we may have to update it to 16th. But there's still the 4 Hogwarts houses, so that'll stay.
That's true. That's true.
But we'll just update the or we can. Joey and I were joking earlier. We'll have someone here at KTRS update it because they do a great job of the editing process for when they do things like that. David DeRose says, I do love trivia, so that's a great lead-in. Andy, tell us about Trivia Maniax.
So I have Trivia Maniax is my company. It's my brand new company. I've been hosting trivia since 2013. I've been a trivia fan my whole life. My great accomplishment when I was a kid was when I first beat my dad. They used to have trivia in the Post-Dispatch every week on Wednesdays, and that was my day to see my dad. And we always, myself, my father, and my stepmother always sat down and went through the trivia. And the night I beat him for the first time was like the proudest moment of my childhood. So it's been something that's been in my blood forever. And finally, I took the leap this year and decided to go ahead and start my own company. I've done a few private events, but right now, my current weekly event is at Maggie O'Brien's in Sunset Hills.
Great place.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. For those of you that may not be familiar with where it is, it used to be O'Leary's. It's been Maggie's now for, I think, about 10 years. Might have been a little bit shorter than that, but it's a great place. The food is incredible. The staff is awesome. And we've been going for about a month and been having a blast there. My trivia, I try to make it my own. Before I was working with somebody else and kind of had to go within their guidelines, what they wanted to do. And now it's all bets are off. I'm allowed to do whatever I want.
And now, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, Maggie O'Brien, they're part of the Cybergs family of restaurants, correct?
No.
Oh, okay.
That would be Helen's. That's up the street.
All right. So
Helen's is part of Cybergs, but
Gotcha.
No, Maggie's does have another location downtown.
Okay.
I think it's downtown. I know it's in the city, but the one specifically that I'm working at is in Sunset Hills, and I could not be happier being there. For my first regular weekly job, it has been phenomenal.
And we've got your image up. For those of you who are watching on the YouTube or Facebook feeds, you can see his image over there. Maggie O'Brien's I Drink and I Know Things. Now, that would make me think this is Game of Thrones trivia, but obviously you can't be doing Game of Thrones trivia every Monday.
No, it's not Game of Thrones all the time, but I'm such a massive Game of Thrones fan, and I figure people are quite literally going to be coming and drinking and knowing things, so It was just kind of a fun thing to throw on there for advertisement purposes. But no, it's not Game of Thrones all the time, although part of what I'm doing with my company that's a little different than what you might find with some others is that I am going to be having trivia nights at least once a quarter that are specifically geared to to one topic. So, for instance, we'll be having a Game of Thrones trivia night at some point. And I know some other places have done things that are similar to that. The difference with what I'm doing is, well, one of the things is I write all my stuff. I don't pull trivia questions from Jeopardy or anything like that. I certainly get inspiration from different areas, but everything that I do is stuff that I've written. And then also, one of the things I'll be doing is I'm going to be doing a wrestling trivia event sometime coming up soon. I did one last year and it went over great. But, life gets in the way sometimes, so we're a little behind on that. But and then another thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking these. So I know you've got some listeners from other places around the world. I'm going to be taking these to other cities.
Oh, great. Okay.
So the idea is obviously I can run, say, specifically for wrestling trivia, I can run a wrestle trivia event here in St. Louis, and then I can go run it in Chicago and use the exact same questions. So my job is ready, but then I can take it and do it somewhere else and have other people enjoy it and hopefully build up a reputation there as well.
David has asked in the chat if this is strictly at the Sunset Hills location or the downtown one or both. I think you said you are strictly at Sunset Hills, correct?
Yes. As of right now, I am strictly at the Sunset Hills location.
Okay.
Definitely follow me on Facebook. I created a Facebook page, and I didn't realize it was created like as a personal page. So I'm trying to get an actual like Facebook page for Trivia Maniax going. I did create it, so if anybody wants to look for that on Facebook, it's Trivia Maniax. I think I have it as all as one word, and the Maniax is with an X instead of the CS because it's edgy. But yeah, and so I will be having other events coming up. The goal, of course, is to get some other weekly events, and then I'll be running the themed trivia nights as well.
Okay.
The wrestling one is the one that's kind of on the horizon because WrestleMania is coming up next month.
Right. So I'm curious because we just had a Tenacious Eats event where we did the Office trivia for the 20th anniversary of The Office. We had people who come to the Tenacious Eats events where they might be like, we had one person was there by themselves, group of 3, group of 2, we kind of sit everyone together. Is this something that if someone is listening, they're like, oh, I love trivia, but I'm not part of a group. Can someone show up and do they do this on their own? Do you pair them up with a group?
100%.
Do you have groups come out?
So for the weekly trivia, it's teams of as many or as few as you would like. I have a couple of guys that come in and I always joke they play with themselves at the bar. Trying to keep it radio friendly, but no, I have a couple of guys that play on their own team, and I have one team that's been bringing up 6 or 7 people. So now when I get to the themed trivia nights, I try to keep the teams of 4 people each. Mm-hmm. So that way it evens it out a little bit because those are a little more specialized. But for instance, when I did the wrestling trivia event last year, I was going with teams of 4 and told people, hey, if you want to come, just you, we'll put together a team for you. Then I had some people say, well, what if I just wanted to play by myself? That's certainly an option because we were charging a cover for that. The way I work that is if you have 2 people and you would like to have just the 2 of you, we charge the full amount for the table. And then, but also at the same time, there were prizes, and the prizes were for 4 people. So it would go to 2 people if that were the case if they want.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I try to be as flexible as I possibly can. I know, not everybody is going to have a group to come with. I'm that person. I have gone and played trivia nights by myself other places and had a blast with it, whether I won or not. So, and I try to make it accessible for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead, please.
No, that was going to be one of my questions is when you're not the accessibility part, but I'm curious, you mentioned wrestling trivia. We talked about Game of Thrones trivia, general trivia. Do you see more of an upswing when you do a certain theme versus just generic trivia? Or is it pretty much you have a regular crowd who comes out for these things regardless of the topics?
For the weekly, it's just there's no specific topics going on. One thing that I have started doing is what normally in the past I've never done a cumulative score at the end of the night. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason for that is that I don't want somebody to come in 2 rounds in and feel like they can't play, or if they can't get there by 7 o'clock, they can't come and play because they're not going to have a chance to win anyway. Right. Each round is its brand new game, and there's 5 or 6 rounds a night. And then what I have been doing though is I'll still do a cumulative score, but the prize is that team gets to pick a round for the next week.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So for this coming week, we'll have a round of TV themes. And because I do audio rounds and question rounds, mostly question, but we'll have a round of TV themes, and that was the request from the winning team last week.
Now, TV themes,
2 weeks ago, we didn't have it last week because of the St. Pat's.
And just for my clarification, because I'm an idiot, when you say TV themes, it is a themed, or are you talking about you'll play?
No. Quite literally, I'm going to be playing TV themes, and the object is to guess what TV show it's from.
That's why I was wondering. So that's fun. We did that once here on Bill Cleveland's Trivia Night way back, and people love that.
Yeah, and if you're ever looking for somebody, if the radio station's ever looking for somebody to run a trivia show again, I know a guy.
Yeah, I would think you do. Yeah. So obviously, you've got to be very knowledgeable about the objects because, like I said, you're not just going on to this website or this website and pulling trivia questions. So what does that entail? If someone asks to do, let's say someone decides, hey, I want to do a Lord of the Rings, and you know what? Andy's not familiar with Lord of the Rings. How does that impact what it is you do and the way you do it?
That's funny that you say that because that is exactly something I'm not familiar with that I have gotten requested. I know I'm going to get some hate from that, but I watched the first Lord of the Rings. I didn't get it, and I've tried rewatching it since over the last, 25 years since it came out, and I still can't get into it. Yeah, I know. But I've watched Game of Thrones 7 times. So,
So that one will be easier.
Anyway, so in that event, I just start looking stuff up. I do my research. So if I have somebody that requests a category for something I'm not familiar with, I get in and do the work. Thankfully, it doesn't happen too often where they ask for something I don't know anything about at all. Usually I can at least ask maybe half the questions, having a pretty good idea. For instance, if it was Lord of the Rings, I have at least some idea of some of the things that happened, but I would still have to go and do some pretty decent research for it. Maybe that would actually get me to watch all the movies.
Yeah. What about Doctor Who research? What about Doctor Who trivia? Has that been asked yet? And would you
that's not one that's been requested, but that is definitely one that at some point I'll definitely be working on. If for no other reason, then that would make a great themed trivia night. So because there's such a wide community of people that are into that it would be worth doing an entire Doctor Who trivia night. I do try to make sure that the questions are accessible for most people. So what I mean by that is if I ask a question and somebody has no clue about the topic at all, I try to make it so they either find it interesting or they feel like, oh, wait, I should know that, or they get it. Like if I ask a question and they don't care about it at all, I'm not doing my job. So, that's the way. So, for instance, if I ask, I always do a WrestleMania round every year around this time because I'm a massive wrestling fan. And I know I keep going back to that. It's just because it's that time of year. Uh-huh. But when I do that, for instance, last year I did a round on WrestleMania celebrities because they always have celebrities every year.
Yeah, yeah.
So even though it was related to WrestleMania, it was really just a round about celebrities.
And our friend Christian Basil is listening down in Florida, and he says he would like to also request Doctor Who trivia. So, Christian, you'll have to make it all the way up here from Florida, buddy. But if you make the trip, I'm sure Andy can put together some Doctor Who trivia for you.
I absolutely can do that.
And as we're going through, I don't want to keep you too much longer on a Sunday night like this, but as you're doing this, you're building your own business. That's always a hard thing. What are some of the things you've realized? Like you said, you've worked with other trivia companies before. Now that you're on your own, there's that little bit of freedom where you can do your own thing, but I'm sure it comes with a little bit of downsides. What's been the biggest upside? What's been the biggest downside?
The biggest upside and biggest downside are kind of one and the same. The biggest upside is that I get to be creative and do what I want. I don't have to ask someone else what they think of a certain concept. For instance, the particular questions that I have ready for tonight are a little bit of a different concept than you're just straightforward asking a question, getting an answer, and we'll get into that in a minute. The downfall of that is I got to do it all myself.
Right.
So whereas before I was working with 2 other guys and we were doing 3 question rounds a week, 2 audio rounds. So I only wrote 1 round a week. Now I'm putting together, 5 rounds a week. And so it's certainly, it's a lot more work, but it's fulfilling. I love what I do. And the creativity behind it is really, that hits home for me a lot.
And I think you said you've got some trivia prepared.
I do.
We can see if we'll see if you stump me. Wrestling stuff, you're going to stump me right off the bat because I know nothing about wrestling.
No, I don't have any wrestling stuff ready for tonight, but I've got two rounds that I can pull from. One of them is called 7-word stories. In this case, it would be about movies. So it's quite literally a 7-word story, a 7-word synopsis of what a movie is about, and you have to give the movie. The other round that I have ready is song titles and other words.
Ooh.
So just hypothetically, if I were to go with this one, this is a 2010s song, and it's Wiggle to Remove It.
Shake It Off?
Which would be Shake It Off by Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of the idea behind that one. And the 7-word stories, I will give you an example. The first question in that one was, I have been giving the year that the movie came out, just because otherwise you're pulling from, 100 plus years of movies. So teenager and green lady fight over shoes.
Wicked.
Well, not necessarily. In Wicked, they don't actually fight over the shoes.
Oh, that's true. Okay, Wizard of Oz. Then.
Also, I believe I thought I said 1939. I may not have. No, I didn't. So.
Okay, I just because that was the one in closest memory.
Right, right.
So yeah.
But
okay.
But yes, Wizard of Oz would have been in that particular one. So what we can do here, I have 15 of the 7-word answer ones, and I have 55 of the song titles in other words that I can pull from. If you want to just give me a number, or I can pick whatever you would like to do.
Okay, yeah, let's try another one of the 7-word. Let's go with number 14.
14, which is usually my most difficult one. I don't know if this is most difficult, but it's up there. It's a 2017 movie, Mute Woman and Sea Creature Bump Uglies.
Shape of Water.
There you go. Yeah. And yeah, it's, and the thing is, what's going to be difficult is totally relative.
Yeah.
For somebody that's way into movies, that's going to be a hell of a lot easier than somebody that, that just casually watches things.
Okay. Since David, I think he was just saying 55. Damn. But let's see if David, if you're listening right now, you can text us if you know the answer. What's number 55? What's number 55?
55 is Dial My Number and Press Send.
Dial My Number and
This is song titles in other words.
Oh, these are song titles. Okay, I thought we were back to movies. Okay, I think I know this one. I'll give David a chance to reply because I know he probably has to text this, and there's a bit of a delay from what they'll hear. So David in the chat, since you had 55, I went ahead and picked number 55 for you. I'll give you a couple of seconds to reply to this. This is a song title. You didn't give the year on the song title, did you, or did I miss it?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I think I know what it is.
Right. And I try to make sure that I'm pretty thorough about it not potentially being something else. And if somebody gives me an answer that works with what I've asked, I take it.
Okay, that's
if
fair.
I've asked a question and it's ambiguous enough to get more than one answer, I'm not going to argue with them.
Yeah, all right, that's fair enough. Let me see. Give David a okay. Well, see, this is kind of not what I was thinking, but this would fit, I would think. David's guess is "Call Me Maybe." My guess was just going to be "Call Me."
I think I'd take that. "Call Me" is what I was going for by Blondie, but yes. "Call Me Maybe," yeah, that's a fair answer.
Okay, so yeah, David, that would have been right, and I would have been right as well, because that was my first thought was Blondie's "Call Me," 1981.
Right. Now, again, I would have taken the Carly Rae Jepsen answer. In that, if I were to go with "Call Me Maybe," I would make sure to differentiate between "Call Me" and "Call Me Maybe." So I would have added something, perhaps, for instance. I would have said "Dial My Number and Press Send," perhaps.
Okay.
That way it gets it down to that specific. But again, in fact, actually, that's funny. Number 52 is "Perhaps Contact Me on the Telephone," which is the Carly Rae Jepsen song.
So they were both on there. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Before we let you go, let me take another stab at one of the 7-word story for the movies. All right.
I've got one for you.
Okay.
1977. Actually, oh man, I shouldn't have given you the year. Anyway, "Baby from Neighboring Manger, Mistaken for Messiah."
Oh, Life of Brian.
Yep.
I love it. I think I would have gotten that even without the year.
I was going to say, let's see if I can pull one that. Let's see here. "America declares war on Canada through song."
South Park, the movie.
There you go.
Excellent. See, they're all great. I love this.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just an idea I came up with that I thought would be a lot of fun. It's different. Like for instance, number 5 here is Brad Pitt asks, "What's in the box?"
Oh, 7.
Right. So, and the thing is, when I ask the question, I do it that way because it would be silly to go, Brad Pitt asks, "What's in the box?" That,
right.
It's boring.
Yeah. No, this is great.
I will tell you that if you come out and see me, you're going to see that I get a little more animated than maybe your average trivia host. To me, the trivia is the mechanism. I'm there to entertain. And if I can entertain with the questions, great. If I can entertain with my, personality, great. But ultimately, as long as you come and have a good time.
And again, that's at Helen. I'm sorry, no, it's at Maggie O'Brien's.
No, don't go to Helen. Don't go to Helen. That's a different company.
It's an Irish woman, Maggie O'Brien's, and it's Mondays at 7 p.m. Maggie O'Brien's in Sunset Hills. Remind people again of the website if they want the Facebook page, if they want to check more of it out.
Sure. The Facebook page is Trivia Maniax with an X. So, and all one word, I think, maybe 2 words. I can't remember because I just created earlier because I just realized people can't just go like it. They were having to send me friend requests.
Oh, okay.
But Trivia Maniax, and if nothing else, they can just look me up by my name. I'm under Andrew on Facebook, but Andrew O'Hara, you can find me under there as well. And if anybody, we can get into this much, but I do charity events as well, fundraisers or, company picnics or company events. So definitely if somebody is looking for something like that, reach out to me. If, you've got a kid that's in high school and they're trying to look for a fundraiser, that's the kind of stuff I do.
Perfect. Andy O'Hara, this has been great. Trivia Maniax. Make sure you check it out again. Maggie O'Brien's in Sunset Hills, Mondays at 7 o'clock. Come by yourself or bring a team. You've got a flavor of what that'll be like right here on the air. Andy, I appreciate your time tonight. Best of luck, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
All right. Sounds good, James.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
There he goes. We're going to take a very quick break. We're going to come back with my conversation with Stuart Moore talking about Captain America for Dummies. We're going to get into that and more. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Meet the Pretenders, who wear a bunch of cats who'll do anything to get out of this pet shop, even dress up like other animals. Shh. So if you see us in your neighborhood and you find out we're not what you think we are, you're the best bunny ever. Purr? You're not a bunny. You're a cat. Don't tell, okay? Don't worry. It'll be our secret.
The Pretenders from Fisher-Price. Squeeze them and they really purr.
Wampa! Hoth Wampa Cave! Look's inside! It connects to Hoth Iron Cannon.
Introducing Hoth World. 3 play sets in 1. New from Star Wars Micro Collection line. 19 die-cast figures and action poses included.
Closed doors. Race tower. Activate Iron Cannon. Connected to Hoth generator attack. Scoutwalkers hit. Target generated. The world of Hoth is now! Yeah!
Hoth World from Star Wars Micro Collection line. Play sets also sold separately. Figures included. New from Kenner.
You can wish upon a star fairy.
I've been so busy granting wishes, I'm tired. Let's...
Hi, this is Carl Lumbly, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
And for those of you who missed the first part of the show, we announced Carl Lumbly will be our big surprise guest, bringing him into Two Rivers Comic Con. Tickets are on sale now. Go to the number 2riverscomiccon.com. We'll be posting on social media the Carl picture on Instagram. It's at the number 2 Rivers Comic Con. On Twitter or X at Two Rivers Comic Con, and make sure you like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Two Rivers Comic Con. Check them out there. We'll have postings up there as well as we'll be talking about our fantastic sponsors and a couple extracurricular events we're going to have for 3-day pass holders. So get your tickets now to make sure you don't miss out on those updates. Speaking of updates, obviously we're holding our convention in the city of St. Charles, the historic area. It's a fantastic place, and St. Charles has been historically awesome since 1769. It says so right there on their website. If you don't believe me, go check it out. It's discoverstcharles.com. discoverstcharles.com. Fantastic place for a lot of fun. This area too has been so great we've been talking to the shops and businesses wanting to involve them in the Comic-Con. So Cardinal Sin Distillery and Spirits. They're going to be helping us out. First Capital Trading Post, the Soda Museum, which if you've not been to the Soda Museum, we're going to have to try to get Tom Smith on the show to talk about the incredible Soda Museum he's built there on North Main Street and the vintage arcade below the Soda Museum. It's really cool. But we're going to try to incorporate all these businesses, and it's such a great place. If you've been out there before for the festivals or for one of the events like the ice sculpting event or for the Tartan Days or for their St. Patrick's Day parade that just happened, you know what a great area this is. If you don't believe me, check it out. Go to the website, discoverstcharles.com, and of course, come visit. If you haven't been out there for a while, there might be a new shop, a new restaurant that's opened up since the last time you came to visit St. Charles, and you might just find your new favorite place to eat. Like my wife and I just went to Bella Vina. We've been there before, but they have flatbread on the menu. We just tried their flatbread. Oh my gosh, I may never have pizza anywhere else again. And they've got great wines. We had a nice wine with pizza. It was our anniversary, so we did it upright, sat in the patio, and just watched people go up and down the street on St. Charles, walking their dogs, hanging out, going on their bike rides. You really can't beat it. For the atmosphere, for the people, for the food, for the shops and the little stores that are out there, like Chuck and Lou, like Sugar and Slice. It's just a great place to visit. Whether you're near or far, check out the website first to plan your trip, discoverstcharles.com. It's discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. For those Captain America fans, if you liked the new movie, if you were kind of baffled by the new movie, maybe you weren't sure about exactly what was going on, why Captain America suddenly has wings, who's the new guy as Captain America, or whether or not you're a fan of the comic book and haven't read the comic book for a while, my next guest is going to tell you how to find out more about Captain America. Right now, we're joined by Stuart Moore, an Eisner Award-winning best editor. He's done prose, he's done comic books and graphic novels. We're going to talk a little bit about all that, plus the brand new book, Captain America for Dummies, perfectly timed since we got the new Captain America movie out right now. Stuart, how are you?
I'm good. That sounds so exciting. Thank you.
It's very exciting. So let me ask you right off, have you seen the new Captain America movie? And if so, what were your thoughts?
I have not seen it, actually. I should have seen it, but I haven't. No, I'm looking forward to it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps outpacing, goes a little higher in the box office. It just now got knocked out of the box office of the running, but it was number one for, I think, 4 weeks almost. That's a good run.
Yeah, especially for a movie that's gotten a mixed critical response, but people seem to like it. It's good.
And I think it's just that enduring quality of Captain America, be it Sam Wilson or Steve Rogers. Yep. It's that idealized version of that symbol of truth, and he's kind of Marvel's Superman, if you think about it. Has that beacon of hope. What do you think it is in doing this book, Captain America for Dummies, that has made Captain America endure for almost 90 years now?
Well, that's obviously a big question. But yeah, I think, I go into this in the book in some detail that the character was actually created as a response to fascism by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby at a time when the United States had not yet entered World War II, but the war was raging in Europe. And they were both immigrants. They had a very strong feeling about this. And that gave the whole thing a power that a lot of other comic characters didn't have, even some that have lasted over time. I think the comparison to Superman makes sense because partly they're both the real, for the respective companies, those are the two characters that are the real paragon of virtue more than others. But Cap, as tends to be true of the Marvel characters, Cap is a little more flawed. He's a little more, he goes through a few more changes. But yeah, in general, I think that that strong adherence to the American dream, as opposed to any particular, party or faction or ideology, even, is what's really allowed the character to resonate over the years.
I was looking over your resume. You've written a lot for both DC and for Marvel. I know Captain America, one of my favorite series, and I was blown away when you wrote it, was the new Avengers Transformers series. I love that because I'm an 80s kid, and Transformers, my dog is named Grimlock, for crying out loud.
Excellent.
But you got to write Captain America, and that is, are there characters that are easier to write in your estimation, or at least for you? Because Captain America is a grounded street level character versus a Thor or someone that's is one more relatable, easier to write for? Does the mythical aspect of some of these higher beings make them easier in that aspect?
Well, I like both. I like playing around with different genres, different types of characters. I thought about this a lot when I was writing. I've written a lot of Marvel novels, and when I wrote the novelization, the prose novel version of Civil War, and that really forces you to look at who's on which side, and what, which way, which ones again have some lasting resonance that you can just tap right into. When I wrote that book, I was a little surprised because I was definitely on Cap's side, and I wound up finding Iron Man the richer character in that book, just because he questions every decision he makes. Where Cap just sort of decides, no, I'm right, and he probably is right, because he usually is. But that was just a function of that story. In general, yeah, I enjoy writing Cap. The trick with Cap is not to make him too much of a Boy Scout, because he's not. He's a guy who's been to war. He's been through a lot, and that makes his character a little deeper and richer than it could be otherwise, I think.
And I'm not sure if it's the bright yellow colors of the book or just the word "for dummies" that drew me right in. I'm like, well, this was written for me then. But I am a comic book person. I grew up collecting comics, both Marvel and DC, and I still found things in this book that I did not know and did not realize. Oh my gosh! Obviously the Cap from the 50s. There's reasons why those aren't printed as much. They were scarcer. But a lot of the details of that, when you're doing research for this, what was it that kind of blew you away? It's like, whoa, I didn't even know that you again end up getting to put in the book.
There were a lot of things. I thought I knew Captain America really well until I started to do this. By the way, I probably couldn't have done it. We wanted to get this out in time for the film, and we did. But I probably couldn't have done it that fast without the Marvel Unlimited app, which just has almost everything available, to click right through. I'm trying to remember. I had read most of the Winter Soldier series, but I'm not sure I'd ever sat down and read it all the way through. And that is just a wonderful little. It just builds and builds and builds, and it starts off with this whole tease of what's going on with the Winter Soldier. Who is he? We all know that now, thanks to the films. But it just the way Cap at first can't even entertain the possibility that Bucky's back, and it grows and it goes through all these ups and downs, and then you get the dossier and you find out, and the whole richness of his past and what's been done to him and how it plays into a whole sort of wealth of 20th century Soviet history and Soviet and USA interactions is just, it sounds dry when I put it that way, but it's just fascinating, and it makes the whole thing really rich in a way I hadn't fully experienced before I sat down to write about that part.
Some of the best story arcs I've read in recent years have been the writer that's able to go back in and look and, hey, there's this little bit of an undiscovered, what was going on with Bucky, and they kind of mine that. Same thing with obviously the run on when they end up bringing back Jason Todd, which I usually am against bringing back characters, but they did that run and they brought, here's what happened to him, why he was, before he came back to be the Red Hood. Those fascinate me so much, and I think those sell well. Is there something about that anti-hero persona in your mind with your sensibilities as a writer and editor that kind of make us I'm not sure, the characters resonate with us on a certain level?
Probably. I haven't really thought of it in those terms. I think it has to be done well. It has to be done respectfully. I think in the case of, and this does play into Jason Todd as well, but I think even more with Bucky, he was always this symbol of kind of innocence lost, and to take him and turn him into something else, there's a level on which you have to be careful doing events like that, because it can feel exploitative. It can feel gimmicky. And what was great about The Winter Soldier is it didn't, what Ed Brubaker and originally Steve Epting did, didn't feel that way at all. It just felt like suddenly this horrible corner of the world that Cap hadn't known existed. And that was one of the great things. The other great things about that run was that it took this very bright, star-spangled character, put him in a much more sort of muted color, shadowy corners of the world milieu without damaging him, without compromising him, or because you always had especially back in the 80s and 90s, people would try to juice up old characters by, putting a big gun in their hand or making them themselves more just grimmer versions of themselves. And that didn't really happen here. It was more a deep grief that Cap had to deal with. And I thought all that was really effective.
With the changeover now, obviously we've had Sam Wilson in the comic books as Cap as well. We got him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the series, which I loved. And I'm a huge Carl Lumbly fan, so bringing him in as Isaiah Bradley was brilliant. And there's been a divide between people who and I think the same thing it happened when anytime you replace a main character, when Jean-Paul Vallée stepped in as Batman, that's not really, people kind of readership fell off. But they seem like Sam Wilson has a foothold. Do you think it's because he was a well-established character and people are like, yeah, this makes sense? What do you think it is about the Sam Wilson Cap that a lot of people really do enjoy, and they're not as... There are people who are mad, don't get me wrong, but people seem to be more accepting of this.
Yeah, I think I have two slightly different answers to that. One is that Cap was obviously... Sam has been in the book for a long time. And as the Falcon, he was co-featured on the cover for longer than possibly any other sidekick, except maybe Robin on Batman, a long time. And so longtime readers of Captain America are used to him and accept him. The other thing is that what's going on in the comics right now, I can't speak for Marvel's decision-making here, but what's going on right now is that both Steve and Sam are Captain America. The movies have their own continuity, and it's all handled a little differently.
Right.
And that's something nobody really thought to do until the widespread acceptance of Miles Morales as a second Spider-Man. It didn't take away from Peter Parker. It didn't diminish him in any way. And they suddenly realized that was possible, and you could have these two characters sharing the mantle of this of the one character name. And in the case of Steve and Sam, it just seems perfectly natural.
Yeah, and it goes all the way back to the Golden Age. We had Jay Garrick was Flash, while Wally West was running around as Flash as well in the 90s. They brought that character back. There's the fact that there are two characters out there. I don't think it's as weird as some people think it is. But then there's the talk of people say, well, it's a mantle that can be passed on. Do you think it's more of a persona or more of a mantle, or are you kind of divided on that thought as well?
It's Captain America is a funny one because there have been debates about exactly what it is within some of the stories. I talk about Mark Gruenwald's long-running story, The Choice, where Cap decides to give up the uniform for a while because the government claims they own it and they want oversight over his activities. It's almost a precursor to Civil War in a way.
Yeah.
And he doesn't agree with that, but he has to acknowledge that they paid for the super soldier treatment and they gave him the costume. Now it all turns out to be a plot by the Red Skull. So, the arguments aren't really being honestly put forward.
Right.
But yeah, there's an argument that Captain America there's an argument that he's whoever holds the shield. There's an argument that it's Steve because he's the only one who went through the super soldier process successfully. Though there have been plenty of people who've received sort of damaged versions of it one way or another and didn't come through it quite right. And there's another argument that the government can, that either he can pass it along as he did to Sam at one point, or that the government can decide to bring someone else in. So it is a little different from being the last survivor of Krypton. It's a little different even from being from a lot of other superheroes. It's tied into direct sort of national responsibilities in a way that most characters aren't.
You mentioned the late, great Mark Gruenwald, just one of the fantastic, his run on Cap, I think, is almost the gold standard with him and the J.M. DeMatteis and the Mike Zeck art on that. When you're looking at Captain America, we've had so many great creators and writers and artists on the book. Do you have in your mind, is there a favorite Captain America artist for you? When you picture Captain America, boom, it's the Ron Lim image or it's the Jack Kirby image. Is there one that sticks out?
It's probably still Jack Kirby, just in terms of artwork. I think his sort of square-jawed, straight-on Captain America, especially the version from the '60s, really resonates with me. I was lucky enough to work a little bit with a revival as editor of a revival that the late John Cassidy drew, and his work was beautiful on it. That didn't really last for a variety of reasons. So yeah, there are a lot of really talented people. The Adam Kubert stuff with Mark Waid is too. There's a lot of good art when you go through it, and that you can't discount the original Golden Age stuff either. Like that stuff just has a weird, like it looks a little crude by our standards, but it has just a power to it that early Jack Kirby and Joe Simon were. It's just its own thing.
Yeah, and that John Cassidy, I've got the giant promo poster from that run that he had in the book. It's such a gorgeous poster. With this book being out, how much of the work, obviously we're used to these 4 dummies. I probably got 12 books over there on my bookshelf of different varying degrees of topics. When you're writing a book for this, is it a collaboration? Does the kind of certain editing group reach out to you? Is this something Marvel wanted to do specifically to coincide with the film? How did this type of book specifically come out, and how did you get attached?
Yeah, it's one of a series of Dummies books that Marvel has arranged to do with Wiley, the publisher of the Dummies books. Marvel, I believe, recommended me for this book, and so I worked directly with the Dummies people. I've worked with Marvel a lot in one capacity or another. So again, because this book had to be done fairly quickly, it helped that I knew how I was able to pick the artwork rather fast and I know how their systems work. But it was, I worked with Wiley, I worked with the Dummies people, and they have their own process that's very well worked out over the years. They've done hundreds and hundreds of these books.
Right.
This one was a little different. Partly because it's more heavily illustrated than most of the Dummies books, and it's in full color, which most of them aren't. But it also, the way I approached it was a lot of the Dummies books are about how to fix your car, or how to learn a computer language, or even some aspects of social behavior. This one is a little different because it's just about an entertainment figure, and they've done other books like that. They sent me a really nice one on Bollywood. They've done, but I had to sort of approach it a little differently because it's not a step. It doesn't have as many step-by-step instructions as you're used to in it. It's more of a guide to this character for either people who aren't familiar with it or people who are, but like you said, may not know like all the ins and outs, or may have missed, as I had as a reader, may have missed certain periods of the character's history and be interested in where all that came from.
It kind of has a nice job, as I was reading through it, of focusing and really taking you through decade by decade. I didn't think there was any part that was overly focused on. It's a nice primer. I think it's, like I said, for people like me who knew something about it and still learned something, but I think it's an easy jumping on point, which is obviously what these books are meant to be for people who, that new movie's coming out. You know what? I've never picked up a Captain America comic. So I'm assuming that's a challenge and both a bit of a difficult thing to do, to walk that fine line and really thread that needle to get both camps to be like, yeah, I want to check out this book.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I hope I did.
You did, in my opinion, yes.
Because yes, there are obviously hardcore comic fans and hardcore Captain America fans who know a lot of this already. And in that case, I hope I was able to just sort of keep them entertained a little bit with the asides and the illustrations. But I also thought of it as a sort of a gift book if you have that person in your life who you like to go to the movies with, but who's like, who is my wife and I remember we saw a screening of I think it was Iron Man 2, but I can't remember, the one that ends with the tease of Thor.
Iron Man 2, I believe. Yeah.
And the hammer just falls to earth, and my wife just turned to me and said, and everyone's cheering in the audience, and she just turns to me and said, "No clue." So if that were a Captain America thing, I would just give her this book. Now I'd say, here, just figure this out. It's all in here.
Yeah, and it does dip into his allies and things like that, like Thor. There's a whole point about him in the Avengers and everything there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. you're trying to be concise. You've got this book coming. Were there items that you or Marvel or Wiley wanted to include, and it's like, we just don't have the time or the space, or it's going too deep down a rabbit hole? Do you remember where you had to kind of cut the threads off in order to keep it within the confines of what you were originally wanting for the book?
And because we're running short on time, here's that answer.
There weren't too many. I've had a couple of people mention to me the villain Scourge, but none of us can really figure out what was happening there anyway. So that way, it was like something Mark Grunwald was building, and then it looked like there was editorial, like things changed behind the scenes. He never really figured it out. So I have that was one I had in the back of my head, but I couldn't figure out it didn't fit neatly into any of the categories. But there really weren't too many of those. When it came to the villains, I wound up just dividing the chapters into the Red Skull and everyone else, because the Red Skull is so omnipresent. He just comes back again and again, and so many extended plot lines that appear to be something else turn out to be a plot of the Red Skull. Like, he turns out to be behind a lot of things. So that worked. But no, I was actually surprised how well it fit. Like, especially since there's not quite 80 years of comics condensed in here, because there were periods when the character wasn't published, but pretty close. I didn't have a lot of trouble fitting things in. I had a little trouble sometimes making sure I didn't repeat myself, because characters like the Falcon, or especially Bucky, fit into several different parts of the book, sidekicks, replacement Captain Americas, and particular storylines that focused on them. And I wanted to make sure I didn't repeat myself. So that was the trickiest thing to do as I went along.
You make a point. Sorry. Go ahead.
I got good support from Wiley. The people there are very sharp, and they were very helpful as we went along.
You make it a point at very early in the book, maybe in an introduction, that this is about the comic book character and not so much about the MCU persona that we've seen and known now over the past 11 years. Is that something that should be a given? Because back in the day when this all started, the movies were based on the comic books. Now we kind of seen the comic books trending in a way that they're trying to mimic the movies more. Do you think that's, with your expertise as an editor and writer, do you think that might be a mistake, that they might be over course correcting to make the comic books fit more in line with the movies? Or is that just the way things are trending now?
I think it's case by case. Like, I wouldn't make a blanket statement about that one way or the other. One of the things I like about Marvel is that the characters are basically the same in both versions. They have differences of backstory. Sam Wilson, in particular, has quite a different backstory. But Steve Rogers is barely different.
Yeah.
It's very, very similar. And even when the details of the characters' histories vary, they're usually pretty much the same person. Like, inside, like they come off very much the same way. I think that's true of Sam even. The place where that's not quite as true sometimes is Guardians of the Galaxy. There are some characters in there that are quite different. But most of the core heroes, most of the rest of them, I think this book is. We have a section in the back of the book that's something like 10 issues to read to get ready for the Marvel Cinematic Universe or something. And I think it works because the characters are basically the same people.
You've got a lot of work in this field, but I'm curious, as you're writing this, were there any writers that you reached out to for, hey, just out of curiosity, I'm going to include this. How should I, or was this kind of like you knew enough and you had enough people surrounding you to basically carve this out pretty easily and simply without needing to kind of extrapolate other opinions and input?
Yeah, I have written books where I've interviewed people for various things. I co-wrote a couple of the Marvel Art of the Movie books, and in that case, yeah, the whole game is you want to talk to people. You want to when writing one of those books, I'd rather use their words than mine wherever I can, especially if they're talking about where the Asgardian architecture came from or how the 45 different Iron Man suits were conjured up and put together. In this case, I didn't really do that. This book is more of a distillation. It's more of a boiling down of all this stuff. And I thought about contacting a few writers, but then I realized it was almost if I talk to one, I'd have to talk to all of them. Almost like I didn't play favorites on it. So if I'm like, for instance, I grew up largely with this. I grew up with the Steve Englehart Captain America stuff with the Watergate subtext, and I could have talked to him. But then I thought that's not fair if I don't talk to Mark Waid, who I also know. Like it was a little too much, and all of that wouldn't have fit in the book. That would have been too much. So no, this is more. This is more about the characters. I try to sort of implicitly deal with the different writers' philosophies through the analyses of the storylines, and also through a section that's just quotes from Captain America, which come across differently depending on who's writing the character, and all of that is attributed. Like it says, this is a run, like this is a quote written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, for instance, that sort of thing.
When you're doing all this, obviously there's a big supporting cast as well within the Captain America universe, no matter who it might be his love interests, his allies, D-Man, who I think is severely underrated.
Man, he's probably the one I didn't have room for. Yes, I'll say that. I'll say that. Yes.
I'm just curious. Was there a supporting character that you really like? This is one of my favorites, and you kind of can't play favorites when you're writing a book like this. But was there one, be it Sharon Carter, Peggy Carter, whoever it might be?
It's probably got to be Sharon, especially since, they did a lot. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did a lot with her, but also the stuff that Mark Waid did with her was, and Ron Garney was like sort of set her up nicely. And the Ta-Nehisi Coates run continues that. There's a lot more. There's a lot with her in there. So it's probably her. I will say the section on Captain America's love interests was a little bit difficult to put together, because if you go through the years and you're looking through all the comics and trying to find artwork, there are very few good shots of his girlfriends. They just don't tend to be front and center. I never realized that. Diamondback is an interesting character. Is Mark Grunwald, your girlfriend after Bernie Rosenthal. Bernie's fun too. Bernie's a strange one. She's like the most normal girlfriend in history. I'm shocked she was around as long as she was. Like, and she gets held at gunpoint once or twice, but really nothing fantastic or extraordinary happens to her, which is nice. Actually, it makes her stand out. But even Diamondback, I had trouble finding good shots of her. It was weird.
Diamondback was one of my favorite characters, because I started reading right around the time that Ron Lim was penciling the book, and that was my ship, was Cap and Diamondback. But thanks to Stuart Moore, there was a little bit more of that, but we ran a little over, and I didn't want to cut off because I want to make sure we tell you, if you are a Captain America fan, go check out Bugs Comics and Games. Larry will give you the straight and narrow on exactly which Captain America comics you might want to look into. If you're a Sam Wilson Cap fan, these will be the ones you want to read. If you're more of a Steve Rogers fan, these will be the ones you want to read. You like Mark Gruenwald as a writer and editor, you'll want to read these Captain America comics. You're a fan of the Ron Lim style art or the Mike Zeck style art, you might want to pick up these. So he's really good about telling you exactly which ones to get. Bugs Comics and Games on Facebook. You can check him out there and give the page a like. He'll be very happy if you do that. And of course, go to Instagram.com/BugsComicsAndGames and follow him on Instagram. That way, if he puts up a Captain America graphic novel or one of the many other graphic novels he might put up, you can say claim. He'll send you a PayPal invoice. Once it's paid, he ships the item right to your door. I always say it's not a comic book store unless they have back issues, and he's got a lot of back issues to go through. Whether you want to go and pick up some comics yourself at whatever price point, $1 books, $5 books, more expensive books, he's got them all price ranges to fit any budget. And of course, if you're looking to divest yourself of your collection, Larry is the person to go see. He'll give you a fair price for your comics. Bugs Comics and Games, located on Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. I will have that. There was just a few minutes left of the Stuart Moore interview, but because of the time, I want to make sure we got the Bugs comic plug in, and I want to make sure we get able to wrap this up properly, so we didn't go over and cut into Max's time for Max on Movies, which is up next. Had a great time at Planet Comic-Con. We've got interviews coming with Tom Payne from The Walking Dead and our friend Frankly Built. If you're a cosplay fan, that's going to be an interview you'll want to hear. My videographer Bob Singleton is working up those. You'll be able to see the video for those as well. Very excited once again. Two Rivers Comic Con bringing Carl Lumbly in. Make sure you check out the #2 riverscomiccon.com to get your tickets. We'll have some other special events and more announcements coming in recent days. Thank you as always to Joey V, who makes the show sound and look as good as it does. This one's the one that's lit up. I'm going to think that's the one I'm supposed to point at. I'm going to do it both because I always get wrong as to which one to pick. There's Joey V again. Thank you to all of you who listened tonight. Thank you for your comments. Thank you to Andrew O'Hara. Make sure you check out Trivia Maniax. And of course, thank you to Stuart Moore of Captain America 4 Dummies. You can get that at your local bookstores. Thank you to all of you who listen. And until next week, my friends.
This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, New York City. Good night.
The Big 550.
From ABC News, I'm Wayne Cabot. Greenland. Whose land? Second Lady